Somewhere in your body right now, there may be a tightness that has been there so long you've stopped noticing it. A low, constant bracing against whatever is coming next. It feels like protection. But look closely, and you'll find it isn't really guarding your future at all. It's guarding an idea of yourself, one that feels too fragile to survive uncertainty. Welcome to Mindfulness, a channel built around teachings that stay true to their source rather than shaped for easy comfort. Today we sit with that fragile idea honestly, through the lens of genuine Buddhist wisdom rather than modern shortcuts. Across this video, we'll walk through 8 distinct antidotes to worry, each one drawn from authentic Buddhist teaching, each one loosening that grip a little further. Not by force, but by finally seeing clearly what was being defended all along, and discovering it never needed defending in the first place. 1. Nothing arises alone. There is a teaching in early Buddhist thought describing how every event comes into being, not from a single cause, but from a vast web of conditions meeting at once. This is often translated as dependent origination. Nothing exists independently. Nothing happens because one force willed it into being. A harvest depends on rain, soil, seed, season, and countless conditions no single farmer controls. A conversation's outcome depends on both people's histories, moods, and the 100 small circumstances surrounding it. This matters enormously for worry, because worry often assumes the opposite. It assumes that if you think hard enough, plan carefully enough, or brace yourself sufficiently, you can personally determine how a future event unfolds. But if even the simplest occurrence depends on countless conditions beyond any one person's reach, then no amount of mental rehearsal can secure a particular outcome. This is not fatalism, it is accuracy. Seeing this clearly can feel disorienting at first, almost like losing your footing. But there is relief hidden inside it. If outcomes were never fully yours to determine, then the failure to control them was never a personal failure either. The pressure you have been placing on your own mind, as though vigilance alone could hold the future in place, was never a fair burden to carry because no one carries that kind of power. What is left then is your own conduct within the web of conditions. You cannot determine whether the rain falls, but you can till the soil well. You cannot determine how another person receives your words, but you can choose them with care. This teaching does not remove your responsibility. It relocates it from the impossible task of controlling outcomes to the achievable task of contributing wisely to conditions. That shift, subtle as it sounds, is where a great deal of quiet worry begins to loosen. 2. The shape of things never stays. One of the earliest observations at the heart of Buddhist teaching is this: everything that arises is subject to change, not as a sad fact to be endured, but as a description of how reality actually behaves. Your body is not the same body it was 10 years ago. Your circumstances, your relationships, your moods, none of them stay fixed for even a single day. This teaching is sometimes called impermanence, and it is considered one of the 3 fundamental marks of existence in the earliest Buddhist texts. When you worry, you are usually doing something quite specific. You are imagining a future moment as though it will be solid and permanent, a job loss that will define you forever, a conversation that will never be repaired, a diagnosis that will be the final word. But nothing in experience actually behaves this way. Every state, pleasant or painful, is already dissolving as it forms. This is not a comforting slogan meant to paper over pain. It is closer to an honest observation about the texture of existence itself. Understanding impermanence does not mean you stop caring about outcomes. It means you stop mistaking a passing condition for a permanent one. The job situation you dread today will shift into something else. Not necessarily something better, but something different, because that is simply what all conditions do. When the mind tries to freeze a future moment in place and then panics at what it sees frozen there, it is fighting against the basic nature of things. A useful practice here is simple noticing. Several times a day, pause and observe one thing that has changed since yesterday. A thought, a weather pattern, a small ache in your body that has already faded. This is not a mystical exercise. It is training the mind to recognize again and again that change is not the exception. Change is the rule beneath every single moment you are afraid of losing. 3. The restless guest. In the traditional list of 5 hindrances that obstruct a peaceful and clear mind, one is named specifically: restlessness paired with worry. It is treated not as a personality trait or a flaw unique to certain people, but as a hindrance that arises in anyone's mind under the right conditions, the way clouds arise in any sky given enough moisture. This is worth sitting with. The tradition does not say that worry is a sign something is wrong with you. It says worry is a natural hindrance, something the mind produces the way it produces sleepiness or irritation, and something that can be recognized and worked with directly rather than taken as evidence of personal weakness. The early instructions for meeting this hindrance are notably plain. Notice that restlessness has arisen. Name it honestly, without decorating it with a story about why this particular worry is different, more serious, more justified than ordinary restlessness. Then return attention to something steady: the breath, the body, the sounds present in the room. Not to suppress the worry, but to stop feeding it with more mental fuel than it needs. This is different from distraction. Distraction runs from a feeling. This practice simply declines to argue with it. Worry, like any hindrance, tends to expand when it is met with resistance or elaborate reasoning, and tends to lose its charge when it is met with plain, repeated attention elsewhere. You are not required to solve the worry. You are only asked to notice it as a visitor, one that arrived because of conditions and one that will leave for the same reason. Over time, this changes your relationship to the sensation itself. Worry stops feeling like an emergency requiring your full participation. It becomes something closer to weather passing through a mind that has learned not to run outside and argue with the wind. 4. The self that isn't fixed. A great deal of worry is, underneath, a form of self-protection. You are trying to defend an idea, the idea of who you are, what your life is supposed to look like, what must remain intact for you to feel safe. Buddhist teaching offers a demanding but liberating observation here. There is no fixed, unchanging self standing behind experience that needs this kind of defense. What we call self is better understood as a shifting collection of physical sensations, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, arising and passing in response to conditions. This teaching is often called non-self, and it is easy to misunderstand as a claim that you do not exist. That is not what it says. It says that what exists is a process, not a fixed possession that can be lost or protected. When you worry about your future, you are often defending a mental image of a permanent self that was never quite as solid as it appeared. Consider how much worry is built on phrases like, "I cannot lose this," or "this must not happen to me." Underneath these phrases is an assumption of a fixed self with fixed requirements for safety. But the self doing the worrying today is already different from the self of 10 years ago, shaped by conditions it did not choose and could not have controlled. If this is true, then the future self meeting tomorrow's circumstances will also be different, capable of things the present self cannot yet imagine, including the capacity to meet difficulty it currently dreads. This does not mean nothing matters. It means the fierce, tight defending of a fixed identity against every possible threat is defending something that was never as solid as the fear suggests. Loosening this grip even slightly tends to loosen a surprising amount of the anxious planning that worry produces. 5. The steadiness that doesn't take sides. Among the 4 qualities of heart cultivated in Buddhist practice, often translated as loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, the last is especially relevant to worry and the least understood. Equanimity is often mistaken for indifference, a kind of emotional flatness. It is not that. It is closer to a steady, spacious awareness that can hold pleasant and painful possibilities without being thrown violently between them. Worry tends to swing the mind hard toward one pole, bracing for the worst possible version of events. Equanimity does not swing toward the opposite pole and insist on the best possible version instead. It holds a wider, calmer space that can accommodate whatever actually arrives, favorable or not, without the mind fracturing in advance. This quality is cultivated deliberately, not simply hoped for. One traditional approach involves reflecting quietly and repeatedly that all beings, including yourself, are heirs to their actions and conditions, and that outcomes unfold according to causes far larger than any single person's wishing. This is not a cold or distancing thought. It is closer to setting down a weight you were never meant to carry alone. Equanimity does not require you to stop caring about the people and situations you worry over. It asks you to care without gripping, to remain engaged without insisting that engagement guarantees a particular result. A parent can love a child fiercely while still recognizing that the child's path will unfold through countless conditions beyond parental control. A steady heart in this sense is not detached from life. It is simply no longer at war with the fact that life includes uncertainty. This steadiness is trainable slowly through repeated moments of choosing presence over prediction. 6. Wanting things to be other than they are. At the root of suffering, according to the earliest teachings, lies craving, not simply desire in the ordinary sense, but a deeper craving for experience, to be other than it currently is. Craving for pleasant things to continue. Craving for unpleasant things to end immediately. Craving for uncertain things to resolve into certainty right now. Worry is one of craving's quieter disguises. When you worry about an outcome, you are usually craving certainty before certainty is available. You want to know now whether the relationship will last, whether the medical result will be favorable, whether the decision was the right one. But some information simply is not available yet, no matter how much the mind strains toward it. Worry is the mind's attempt to manufacture certainty through sheer repetition of thought, as though thinking about an unknown outcome enough times might force it into being known. This craving for premature certainty is exhausting precisely because it cannot be satisfied. The future will not release its answer early, no matter how many times you turn it over. What the teaching suggests instead is not resignation, but a redirection of attention toward what is actually knowable right now. Your intentions, your next action, the quality of your presence in this exact moment. This is sometimes practiced through simple, repeated questions. What do I actually know right now, separate from what I am imagining? What is the next wise action available to me, regardless of how the larger situation resolves? These questions do not banish craving instantly, but they interrupt its momentum. They return you again and again to the only place where clarity is actually possible, the present set of conditions rather than the imagined future one. 7. The three roots beneath the worry. Buddhist teaching often traces unwholesome states back to three roots: craving, aversion, and delusion, sometimes called the three poisons. Worry rarely travels alone. Beneath most worry sits some combination of all three, and recognizing which one is active in a given moment can change how you meet it. Craving shows up as the wanting of a specific outcome so strongly that its absence feels unbearable in advance. Aversion shows up as the flinching away from a possible pain before it has even arrived, treating an imagined future hurt as though it were already happening. Delusion, the subtlest of the three, shows up as a distorted view of how much control you actually have. The quiet, often unexamined belief that enough mental effort could prevent an unwanted outcome from occurring at all. This third root deserves particular attention because it is the one worry depends on most heavily. If you truly believed that no amount of anxious rehearsal could alter the outcome, would you still spend hours turning the same fear over in your mind? Most people, if honest, would answer no. The anxious repetition persists because some part of the mind still believes it is functioning as a kind of preparation or protection. Recognizing this belief as delusion, not a moral failing, but a simple misunderstanding about how causation works, is often enough to loosen its hold considerably. Working with these three roots does not mean eliminating them through force. Traditional practice involves noticing which root is present, naming it honestly, and asking what a response rooted in generosity, patience, or clear seeing would look like instead. If aversion is flinching from a possible loss, the counterbalance might be a willingness to stay present with the actual, current moment rather than the imagined one. If delusion is inflating your control over outcomes, the counterbalance is simply remembering again how many conditions any outcome actually depends on. This is slow work. It is also some of the most direct work available for meeting worry at its source, rather than only managing its symptoms. 8. Right effort, not endless vigilance. The Buddhist path includes a specific teaching on effort, often described as 4 kinds of right effort: preventing unwholesome states from arising, letting go of unwholesome states that have already arisen, cultivating wholesome states not yet present, and maintaining wholesome states already established. This framework offers something worry desperately needs: a clear description of where effort actually belongs. Worry often masquerades as effort. It feels productive, even responsible, as though turning a problem over relentlessly in the mind is a form of diligence. But right effort, as traditionally described, is not endless rehearsal of feared outcomes. It is the deliberate cultivation of a clear and steady mind, and the deliberate release of states, like unrestrained worry, that cloud that clarity without offering any genuine benefit in return. This distinction matters because it gives worry a specific, respectable exit. You are not being asked to stop caring or stop preparing. You are being asked to notice when preparation has quietly turned into rumination, and to apply effort toward releasing the rumination rather than continuing to indulge it under the belief that it is somehow helping. A practical way to apply this is to ask honestly whether a given round of worry has produced any new useful action, or whether it is simply repeating itself. If a genuine next step emerges, a phone call to make, a conversation to have, a plan to adjust, right effort supports taking that step and then releasing the mental loop. If no new action emerges and the thought is simply circling, right effort supports letting it go, gently and without self-criticism, and redirecting attention towards something wholesome and present: the breath, a task at hand, a kindness that could be offered right now. This is not about suppression. It is about recognizing that not all mental activity that feels serious is actually serving you. Effort spent circling an unchangeable unknown is effort unavailable for living the one moment you actually have access to. This one, right now, exactly as it is. None of these 8 teachings ask you to stop caring about your life. They ask you to stop mistaking worry for protection when it was never able to protect anything at all. The future was never going to hold still simply because you gripped it tightly. What you have is this moment and the quality of attention you bring to it. That has always been enough to work with. If this offered you something useful, consider staying a little longer. There is more of this tradition still worth exploring together.